And that's introducing us to session 62 of 150 playing in this world for this group. Because there's been another 90 odd sessions going through various countries, getting people to know what the countries are and how they fit into the setting. And most of that and a third of that was one country. That's where Dimitri started out in that sense.
The most important country.
Right.
Also the one that Stephen comes out of. His character.
That's really coincidental. And he's not really from that country. He's a usurper.
But he is part of the ruling class.
So is that Dimitri Haller be his name?
Hey, Mark, that music is fantastic.
Yeah, so that music is from Curse's Strad called Death's House Barovia music. I thought it was a great spooky theme to start people up with.
Once it was bent, how did we not get into it?
And it's spooky at the moment. We've just arrived in a brand new city. All is hale and hearty in the world, not dark at all.
Not foreboding at all.
And there are nice little things I can stick in the background to really creep people out. Such as I believe we have the squeaky gate.
Wow. Not only is it grating on my nerves, it's grating on my ears.
So there are a lot of nice little buttons I can push like that to help with making everyone feel better.
Better, you say.
So we will start with introducing people online to give Stephen more of a chance to get here. We have Jeremy online.
Good evening, all. This evening I'm playing Dimitri Dimitrios, a sage and learned wise man of Chaldaran descent, whose wisdom is wanted by all everywhere.
Can I
That's a
translate
stretch.
Yeah, we'll move over to David and David can translate that.
that? Yeah, translation. Massive knobhead.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway. Hello.
Sorry, was that Godhead?
There you go.
Was that
Okay.
soon?
Had to deal with lots of
Hello, I'm
bureaucrats
David.
today.
I play Flamintor and
Ended up playing
Endgari,
Tropico 6 and
Warlord,
forgetting
Force Master, all
this is
round
on.
great guy, completely undefeated in single-handed combat.
Except for that time you were defeated.
Completely undefeated, he died.
That is true, he did die.
Exactly, so completely, absolutely undefeated in any way, shape or form.
Okay, Dimitri's covered for him a few times.
Ah.
See, look, he can thank Helen for that.
I will not.
Then we have Martin.
G'day, my name is Willie Toscobble, a bard,
Bard extraordinaire.
and yeah, that'll do.
Well, that solves a lot of problems. And then we have Stephen.
I'm playing Sir Clovius, a noble griffin rider knight from Corendon. No. From Karameikos. He is a Corendon.
Corendon is actually a province of Thyatis. As
Isn't
well
it? But
as
it's also a
people.
race. Yeah.
It is a people.
As I said,
People. That's
And as far as Jeremy's concerned, you're one of the people who took over his country. You might have made it safer and more prosperous, but you still took over his country.
You guys are both the same. You're the same people.
Have you seen the Monty Python sketch in Life of Brian? The people rebelling against the Romans. What have the Romans ever done for us?
Yeah.
Well, they built the aqueducts, the roads, the police stations.
That's exactly what the Titans did.
So last session,
Curse their very name.
Out right about when we were figuring out transport. Did your character in the Griffin and Dimitri end up getting to where we were going?
Of course we did. I got there before you did.
Oh, yeah, you pulled some bullshit.
So yes,
I was waiting for you. You took ages.
Hey, you pulled some bullshit.
in this storyline, you've travelled to the city of Dahastrata, in the lands of, if I can actually pronounce it, that will be fun. Shajapur.
Chaswas.
And these people have a very Indian defeatist culture.
Native American or Indian?
In subcontinent India.
Yeah, as in Asiatic Indian.
Oh,
And you had just landed there and got to talk to a few people before we ended the session last session. We're trying to find out what happened to one of the Galantrian senator, diplomat,
agent, whatever.
who went missing, as well as someone who had you had seen in a vision. Well, one of you had seen in a vision because the rest of you didn't sleep for 5 days, as you were in animal form.
yeah.
Yeah. But thanks, right. Dimitri informed you of the important thing.
Yeah.
Or he'll get around to informing you at some point anyway.
He'll inform you when he gets to something that he thinks you need to know, which is not yet.
You need a body sheet, Dad.
No, it depends on if you bite him in snake form or not.
Exactly.
I think we're about to find out what happens if one of us snaps one of those poles those people are standing on.
You were talking about doing that as well.
Weren't things like stealthy boys or something?
There are people standing on stilts in the crappy water.
And being very condescending down at us.
Yeah, I remember that. That was really rude.
And as you are standing around, a thin brown-skinned man approaches you and your griffin. He has black hair and eyes, sharp features, and looks like he's in his mid-30s. He wears a loose-fitting, slightly dirty linen shirt and pants, and has a white silk turban set with a small reddish stone, probably a cheap ruby. He carries a leather-bound ledger and a strange writing implement. He's walking towards you with a bored look, and it's clear he's doing a routine sort of thing. And he says, "Hello, will you people be stating for me your point of origin, please?" As he opens the ledger and points his small little stick at the ledger.
Point of
Do we
origin.
lie or what?
They could be xenophobic.
No, let them out. Google Earth.
What? Google Earth.
Let them out.
What do you suggest? You mean the bard? Greetings, sir. We have come from across the ocean from the continent of the green hollow world. Ikuria.
Akuria is correct. That's why I left the map up there for you. This will make it even easier for you to actually read it, hopefully.
Oh, sure. No. I love. Sorry.
Okay, I should pull up my map off at this is like your map, better view for me.
That is true. And if you want to know where you are, Jeremy, you're in the Anarthi Archipelago, the biggest island between Irika and Jomfur.
Okay, yeah. Oh, no, right, so we're not actually all the way over the Jomper.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the biggest island along that line. So right after the AGO in Archipelago.
Okay, yeah.
So he says, so you've travelled a long way.
Some distance.
What are your intentions?
We. Now I'm trying to remember the dream names that we had. The dream. Okay, so yeah, good. Had the dream, took me to stage up for. And. Well, okay. We are trying to follow one of our original countrymen who we believe has travelled through this way, but her name was, and you'll mention the name of the diplomat or the Galatian government official that disappeared with the two goblins.
Okay, well, in that case, there's a 10 gold docking fee for coming into my nation.
We haven't docked.
You come in as a group, and I don't care how you come in here, it's called docking. He says, looking at you for board expression. You can teleport, fly, levitate, swim, or take a ship. You've entered this nation, and we call it a docking fee.
Docking fee seems inappropriate. Entry fee I can understand, but a docking fee would imply that we're leaving something here under your protection.
It was originally called a docking fee when people only came by boat. They have updated what it's referred to, but not the name. The name's currently in committee.
Uh-huh.
It's been in committee for the last 800 years.
Oh, well, I guess we were waiting till we talked to that before we pay.
Okay, well, if you wait here, I'll inform you when it's done, and then you can enter the city.
Very good, very good. Here you go.
I don't need the money if you're going to wait. He doesn't actually seem like he's trying to lie to you.
Oh, no.
He's more than happy for you to wait for it to finish in the committee.
Are we still in like floating Singapore?
You're right next to the people standing in the harbour-y sort of river adjacent to the city.
But this is after you've materialised back into bipedal form.
Yep.
Okay, better people again.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, okay, it does not appear that there's several facilities here for waiting. So.
Oh, wait, who is he?
I am Shaju, he says, looking at you.
Why is this your city? Why
You should
must we
be nice to the guy because he's got a name. He might tell us information.
He's got a name.
Everyone must.
Guys, he's got a name. This is serious.
He's reading from the freaking manual.
He's got a name, guys. We need to treat this guy with respect.
Hey, even the guy without box text can actually be the person who saves your butt.
Yes.
Or you might have done the old GM trick of looking at your notes. Well, bullshit.
It's very hard to tell in my games.
Can we just be civil?
Dimitri will hand in the 10 gold and 2 extra to ensure that our vessel is well looked after.
He lets 2 of the coins fall off the book onto the ground. And he notes down with his stick on the seems to be some sort of metal stick on his ledger, and
Bribe attempted,
and closes the book and walks off, leaving the 2 coins on the ground.
That's not good.
And it seems that Playman is dumbstruck because he's currently breaking up while speaking.
Good. So, well, yeah, folks, we're not getting much out of that, David.
So as you look around the area, you see lots of vessels berthed amongst the people on stilts, the refuse in the ground, It's all very much a hodgepodge of wharfs, open water people, and boats. This vast port has ships of all different sizes, has an overpowering scent of spices, cloves, cinnamon, pepper, with the smell of filth and a crematoria nearby.
So the guy that was taking down our details, who's now walked away, is he an official?
You don't know.
He just turned up.
With a book and a pen. But you've never seen a pen, so it's just this metal stick.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why Parman was pretty unimpressed.
And okay, you'll note when it said details, it narrowed it down to a continent we just come from.
And you see the water is polluted and it's unspeakably foul. And yet you see a lot of religious people bathing in its foulness, proclaiming themselves to be pure and holy while they're smearing crap all over themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, that's best. Why do you do?
And by the looks of all the ships, they all come from this nation. They all bear very similar sort of styling. Nothing from any of the Merry pirates that you have travelled with. And
is there a horse to be seen anywhere throughout town?
you can see some camels with some guides. You see two sets of them. One looks lean with emaciated natives and diseased-looking camels. The other one looks a little bit better fed, and their camels have ornate harnesses intact. Whereas the first one basically has plain harnesses with its diseased-looking camels.
So it's my understanding that Ethica is basically based on Mongol China. Yeah.
It's India.
No, it's the Ethingarians.
Ethingarians very much is based on Mongols, yes.
Alright, so Mongols basically own China, including what's the crappy place that has deserts? Mongolia. Fantastic. So would Ethica have, much like Mongolia, quite a few camels?
Ethingar has no camels.
But you certainly recognise camels.
You do recognise them?
Yeah. Yeah, no. So the reason I ask is because Mongolia has a huge amount of respect for camels. I was just wondering if that carried on to Ethica. So that's all good.
Ethingarians has respect for any animal you can ride.
Yeah, but it's not quite.
And also that doesn't eat horses. So they're the two requirements for a mount. One, that you can ride it, and two, it doesn't eat horses. Yeah. So if you can mount a lion but it'll eat a horse, that's not really a acceptable animal under their terms.
So I shouldn't have tried to ride the T-Rex. Okay.
Well, you've never seen a T-Rex eat a horse. To be fair.
Unless, of course, he was in the Millennium Lands, in which case then he might have seen one.
Anybody feel like leveling up a camel in 3-level barbarian?
So you can hear that the plain harness guides are offering to take people to the city, which is 10 miles away from the actual port where you've landed, for 2 silver pieces for the entire group.
Oh wow, these people are dealing in.
And the one with the ornate harnesses intact are charging 2 gold pieces a person.
Yeah, these guys are dealing in actual currency.
Dimitri will pick up the 2 gold that were left on the ground, if they're still there,
Yep, they're still there.
and go and offer them to the guys that have better harness and type stuff on their camels.
Yes, they offer you to get onto the camel, sir, and they will escort you up to the city.
Sounds good.
And if anyone else wishes to pay, they can also come.
One goes up to
The 2 gold
guy.
is per person going, whereas the other one is 2 silver per group going.
One goes up to the poorly camp guy and asks if he can sell a camp.
He will not sell his family to you.
His family.
Alright, got Toretto. One likes that. He'll take the silver guy.
Okay.
Wait. Goes up to Gold Boy and asks if he'll sell the camp.
The gold person says, "I'm sorry, but you talk to the unclean. I cannot talk to you." And then turns his back on you.
Sorry, what did he say?
He said you talked to the unclean, and then turns his back on you.
Oh. Okay, go with the silver boy.
Okay, so handing him 2 silver, he's happy to take you and anyone else of your party with him.
Yeah,
So you pretty much pay for anyone else who wants to travel with him.
Cool.
that's fine. Does the camel that I get on look like it's just eating a whole lot of spinach and Popeye out?
It doesn't actually react because it's still the person's camel, not yours. He doesn't get your bonus yet.
Yeah, that's all good.
But the camel does look sturdy, even if it looks like it doesn't eat as well as it could.
Yeah, that's alright. We got a Dom Toretto over here. You don't need other. You don't need rich camels if you've got a fan.
So who's traveling with Plowman and who's traveling with Dimitri?
I'll stay safe with Dimitri.
Okay, so it sets you back 2 gold.
Yep.
What about
I'll just fly or something.
you'll just fly?
Hmm.
Who are you going to travel with, or are you just going to try to meet them there?
I'll follow the fastest group.
Okay, so you go and fly into the air. As you see, Little Miss and Simply Red go with Playman. As they are headed off. As you're traveling in, Dimitri is told they're entering by the Street of Wealth. And you get
during the journey, Blum discussed his camel.
so Dimitri finds out about the 4 quarters of Tahastria.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Warrior Quarter, which is the Administration Center. You have the Artisans Quarter, which is where you can buy and sell almost anything. You have the Priest Quarters, where no one really goes. Because, only the priesty sorts who closet themselves away live there. It's also the cleanest district in town.
He's already claimed to be the priest order.
And you have the workers' quarters, where it's the ugliest quarter in the city. And all 4 quarters surround the... sorry if I get the name right. The Temple of the 8 Sweet Winds, which is the very center of town. And outside of town, the 10 mile you're traveling through is known as the Domain of the Untouchables. And the Untouchables are the lowest tier of the area and are not permitted to talk to their betters.
And presumably, obviously, not allowed to enter the city proper.
Oh no, they can enter the city because they do work in the city, they're just not allowed to talk. And that brings us over to Dimitri, to Playman & Co. he'll enter via the Street of Misery, which is the Untouchables entrance.
Okay.
And while you're in the city, you treat your charisma as if it's 6 points lower.
Cool.
Unclean.
Fairly sure it might be 0 at this point. Plum spends the entire journey going into the city discussing with his friendly camel guide about camels and the upkeep of camels and living with camels and camels and camels.
He does say how the elephant is superior to the camel, but he can never earn enough to feed an elephant because they eat more than his family eats in a month per day.
Okay. Just in case I cut out, at the end of this journey, Plum's going to give him like $5.
He seems unable to take the gold.
Right.
You feel if you get the sense that he feels he's been insulted in some way.
Just assume that we spent quite a bit of time arguing on him getting some larger amount of money.
He argues with you and in the end hands you back half of what you paid. So you end up paying 1 silver for the journey in the end.
You cheapskate. Although he might have lost him, I looked at it.
Okay, so what you do learn on that trip is that the Warriors' Quarter, where you'll find all the...
It's a good thing that I said those things before.
Yes, so you did drop out.
You did drop out. And so if you missed it, you ended up paying 1 silver overall for the trip because he gave you change. So you find that all the buildings in the area include any business includes the family dwelling as part of the building. Every building coming out from the center is 1 level higher, so you can actually see the center of town from the top of any of the buildings in the city itself, including those on the outskirts. So the tallest buildings are the furthest from the city, except for the fact that the very center of town has an amazing looking structure that doesn't look like it was even in the architecture of the people. So to give Jeremy a example of it online, you can see that.
I can see a Hollywood map at the moment.
Okay, so I will stop the sharing screen. Where is my sharing screen? I have it here somewhere. I love it when these things work so well that I can actually let me see if I can do that one. Okay, is that working now? So you can see that?
Not really. So it's still the Hollywood map is what's actually made on the screen. I can see that you're holding up a book in the small Skype window, like the that says that you're sharing your video, but the actual image that's coming through on Skype is in fact the planetary map.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to turn that one off because apparently I've lost the ability to turn it off. Oh, there it is. I finally got it.
There we go.
It was sort of hidden on the menu for me. So.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So that's basically what's in the center, and what you can tell is that little dome on top is actually not touching the building in any shape or form.
Okay.
So if you see that clearly there, that little onion dome is not actually touching anything. You can see underneath it there is an air gap.
Right.
So that little bit there is completely suspended above the building.
Sounds like magic.
It's a very ornate place where when you look at all the buildings around here, the further you get from the center, the more run down the building looks. And so the taller the building is, the more run down it looks. And you're sort of going, who would want to live in the furthest from the place when the ones closer to it look like they're so much better constructed? and
Plus, you're living on top of each other.
yeah. So you wouldn't want to be the person at the bottom of the building. Well, you could have horses that way.
So so you're saying that we end up entering different streets on into the city.
You do.
How many roads actually lead from the port to the city? Do
They
we end up parking company?
they have
early
three.
on,
They
or-
have three roads. The road you took was the direct one. The road that Plumman took was one of the most indirect ones because they like to inconvenience the untouchables the most.
Mhm.
And the Griffin was able to fly into the city fairly easily following Dimitri.
Okay.
Even though you were going shoulder to shoulder with people the entire way in. You have not seen this amount of people anywhere in any place you've ever been in.
Mm.
Constantly running into people. As Dimitri enters in, he hears someone calling out. He is immune to cobra venom, and he can foretell the future, of which he will demonstrate for price of coin.
How much?
1 coin, he says.
What would that be?
A coin. It's a round. He says a round thing made out of metal.
Yeah, but what kind?
Sounds like copper to me.
He says, you choose.
Okay, copper?
If you want to use copper, copper is fine.
give him a
So
platinum.
this is just one hand,
You're
one
currently
hand.
flying above them at this stage.
Okay.
You haven't actually joined them yet
All right.
because
This is just one random yell from the other random yells throughout the thing.
It is, but it did catch your eye, especially when someone says they can foretell the future.
Mm-hmm.
That's always interesting.
But yeah, before we get there, so when Dimitri's talking, talking to the guide, whatever it is that's taking there,
Yep.
and he's explained the four quarters of the city. Does he tell, like, okay, well, does he give a name?
Does he give his name?
Yeah.
No, he does not, because he leaves you at the city gate after he gets you there.
Okay.
Because at that point he will turn around and head back to the docks for his next load of tourists
Right. Okay.
or important people.
Also, last on the way there, he's not talking about that. The idea, is it difficult to find accommodation in the city?
He says to try the Warriors District because they do have the nicest quarters, as long as you're not one of the untouchables or claimed as one. They have no place they can stay in the city.
What do we count as?
He looks you up and down and says, well, definitely not a priest.
Okay, but are we untouchables?
Okay,
Yeah.
unlike myself.
You came in through this door. If you came in through this entryway, then you'll be treated fair until you prove otherwise.
Okay.
But he says most halflings end up in the artisan's quarter.
The artisan's quarter.
Yeah.
Because we make stuff?
He shrugs because that's always been.
Right. Okay.
Possibly because they're obviously not priests, warriors, or workers.
And you do notice the guy doesn't do a lot of explanation.
Yeah.
And it's always a very sharp, simplistic response to every answer, which doesn't bring a lot of information. And you think that's a cultural thing because you sort of hear that's the sort of response in nearly every question you hear around you.
Yeah.
It's because that's the way it is. It has been said to a lot of things. It's like, why does this happen? Because that's the way it always is.
No worries.
Which can be quite frustrating for those trying to figure out why certain things are happening.
But why?
Yeah, which you hear from kids, but not in this area.
Yeah. I'll suppress the urge to say, but why?
You do also find out that the jails are underneath the warriors' quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike the unclean, they are underground.
I think that
I know you like something,
really
but we
like
missed it.
Willie's first question is why. It's always kind of like break it.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, so when they talk about the Artisans District, you will find that each block consists of one trade. And so you can find everything you need to know about one trade on every block. So if you're looking for a blacksmith, you go to one block, and that's where all the blacksmiths are.
Right.
And unlike the Warriors District, their sewerage is the street. Literally. And the Workers District is basically the full of restaurants, but no sleeping quarters.
Okay, yep. So, as we're approaching the city,
Yep.
how big is it? Obviously, there's more people than we've seen before, but do we get an idea of how big the city is?
Okay, so considering how much Dimitri has travelled, this place rivals any city you've seen. It seems bigger than any city you've seen. It also seems more dysfunctional than any city you've seen.
Assuming the streets are very crowded, are they crowded with purely pedestrians or people riding or doing other transportation?
There are horses, camels, occasional person riding a lion. There are elephants. There are a couple of dinosaurs. You see
carriages?
No carriages at all.
No carriages, no wagons?
There are wagons, but no carriages.
Okay.
And wagons are full of produce.
Yep. Now you mentioned that we're entering via the street of money or something.
Of wealth.
Wealth, yep. Does this street go anywhere, obviously?
Well, it goes all the way into the centre. Each street that you can enter by is 40 feet wide with flush parkway and fountains in the middle.
Okay, and they each form a nice straight line to the centre.
They do, providing 4 entry points into the city and giving each quarter of the city a very distinct border from the other quarters.
And even with Dimitri's military experience, he looks at his cities and leaves it defenceless. Straight to the middle of the city.
And what you could tell from the docks, there is no armed defence on the docks except for small groups of police who move in groups.
Right.
They are not a military people with... you could probably take it with less men than we used to take Karameikos.
Yeah. Even though apparently they've got a whole quarter of the city dedicated to warriors.
From what you've seen of their warriors, they don't carry much in the way of weapons or armour.
Right.
Is it wrong for Plum just like the equivalent to be seeing, instead of dollar signs in his eyes, just like conquering signs?
He can.
This entire city is ripe for an uprising.
And one of the reasons the guy gave you money back is it was not his place to seek wealth, as it was against his beliefs.
Oh, I'm about to seek power.
So everything you've learned about them is they're so tied up in their beliefs that their next life will be better than this life.
Yeah.
That they choose not to better themselves in any way, shape, or form. Bettering themselves seems wrong, as if you're basically committed a sin.
I wonder, there's got to be a crack somewhere.
Oh, there's cracks everywhere. It's just The crack might not do you any good.
Well, so, obviously when you get to the city, there's crack right down the middle, or right down each quarter.
Yeah.
I'd like to land somewhere.
Well, there's a nice park
near
near
the
Dimitri.
blacksmiths.
Okay, so you land somewhere near the blacksmiths. Yep.
I'd like to order a suit of full plate.
Okay. They look at you and go, "You want a suit of full plate?
Mm-hmm.
Could you describe full plate, please?"
What kinds of armor do you make?
Well, we have parade, we have celebratory, we have commissioned, and celebration armor. What would you like, sir?
Can you show me some examples?
He comes out with something that looks more like cloth than armor. See, this is our celebration armor.
Do you have anything that would stop an arrow or a sword?
Why would you want to stop an arrow? If you're going to be hit by an arrow, it's obviously your time.
Obviously.
These warlike culture we will never find.
If it's your time to die, why tempt fate?
What about shields?
I get
You
the
guys-
feeling that the warriors are going to be these guys with sharpened guava. Ready to...
Yeah.
So-
Martin really wants to go over to the Warriors Quarter.
He picks up this bracelet with these little round things on it and says, "Here's our shields."
A bracelet?
Yeah. Each shield represents the 8 virtues. Isn't that what you're after?
Like a celebratory shield that if by accident an arrow happened to come its way by accident, surely by accident it would happen to block
There are
it.
no accidents in this life. Everything that happens for a reason.
Indeed.
You're obviously new to
Just-
this land.
Just buy a table and a bloody wood saw.
A table. A metal table.
So, and he goes back to the bracelet and says, "And see, each one here is etched with the 8 different virtues."
Can I make an investigate? My character will try and investigate, ask different people and stuff, to try and find out if there's anyone or any way to get actual armor or anything.
Okay, so give me an investigation roll.
I got a 16 plus 9, 25.
Okay, you spend about 3 hours looking through all the different blacksmith areas.
Okay.
And you find almost to a person they make farming equipment.
Ah, okay.
They fix wagons. They will do all these intricate little metal things, but none of them make weapons. And their versions of armor is all about appearance, not about substance.
Mm-hmm.
So you could pretty much put your finger through their strongest armor.
Oh well.
And even your non-cultured weapons will go through their armor.
Surprise, surprise.
Which, considering it is something what Dimitri has called the spell of preservation, doesn't seem to work on their armor because it's not actually armor. But they call it armor. And it has a little bit of precious metal woven into the fabric.
Oh, I'll get a nice suit of armor then. May
Okay.
as well.
So you get a nice suit of armor. They offer it to you for 500 gold.
I don't have any gold written down.
You don't have any gold written down. So he looks you up and down and says, "I'm sorry, but if you request something and don't have the money for it, are you sure you're in the right place? Shouldn't you be outside of town begging?"
I'll come back with it later. I'll have one of my servants drop it off.
Says, "If you had servants, your servants would be here dealing with me." And then he turns his
My
back on you.
servants do not have fantastic griffin mounts such as I.
And you notice he turned his back on you after saying that.
I fly away with my winged boots and my griffin and then fly away. Rejoin the party.
Okay, so you catch up to Dimitri and the others who have met near the center of town. Having
Hey guys, why don't I have any gold?
Straight down the city of wealth and heading towards the centre of town.
Yep. And it's very easy to tell each of you because Plum and Little Miss and Simply Red are followed by lots of children asking lots of questions.
Barman is now traveling basically shirtless, looking like and embracing his savage origins.
And he's also dealing with lots of kids asking lots of questions.
That's okay. You know what? Do they look like they're untouchables or from another cast?
They look like they're mostly from the workers' quarter.
So would they be untouchable or would they?
Is that where I'm from? Kind of from the artisans?
No, that's the one just above the untouchables,
Okay.
but below the artisans.
Right.
So it goes untouchables, workers, artisans, warriors, and priests.
Right.
Barman ignores anyone who's not untouchable.
Okay.
But he's not hostile towards the other kids. But if there are some untouchables, he will pay more attention to them.
You think they're asking you because you're outsiders.
Okay.
And as you do know, a lot of kids don't know the difference.
Yep.
But as you walk up the street, you see anyone who shows any form of wealth turn their back on your group.
And the kids as well.
Yep. Yeah, they will also turn their back on the kids because their kids obviously aren't their kids.
Right, yeah, I'm going to pay a lot more attention to these working kids.
Because most of the people of wealth, kids are already doing their trade. They don't get to be
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, I'm paying attention to these kids. And I'm being nice. You guys don't recognize it.
And basically they're the only people all the way up to Dimitri who actually converse with you.
Nice. All kids. I'll give them a little bit of food here and maybe if there's any kids who look particularly poor, I'll give them a few bomber.
So yes, most of them do look very poor and like they hardly eat. And they all happily accept food and coin from you.
They hardly eat.
They look like they hardly eat. So they don't actually have food on a regular basis.
Are there any, like, major food vendors on that journey?
There are quite a few, but when you go up to the vendor turns their back on you.
Oh god, I can't do it. I mustn't do it. I must not do it. Should I plumb it? Should I plumb it? I've got to do it. Okay, Plum will exchange coin for any sort of bulk food items if they turn their back on him.
Okay, so would someone like to do a sneak roll for him, or does he just pick up food and drop coin?
Yeah, no, don't bother. He's not sneak it. He's exchanging coins for goods.
Okay, you take a big crate of fruit and drop some coins down and walk off. He doesn't even register that you were there.
Yeah, an appropriate amount of coins. I know. Yeah, kids are getting fed. They're all getting fruit.
Okay.
None of these little shits are getting scurvy.
And they're all cheering you.
Or one of them pickpockets him.
There are others that pickpocket. Okay, so while you hear the cheering from coming your way, you see the Samdu, one of the holy men, who says he's immune to poison and he can foretell the future. You gave him a copper. What did you ask him to prove?
I'd like to know what's going to happen in the next 10 days.
He looks at you and says, as he closes his eyes. Says, you'll gain a great treasure if you go to the priest quarters and sit in front of the temple, the Fountain of Splendor on the Avenue of Second Sight.
Do I know where that is?
If you ask, you'll find your way there.
Okay.
And once you have gained this great treasure, you will battle some orcs in the desert,
Right. That's pretty specific.
who will take off your left smallest toe,
Oh, okay.
which you will not recover.
Well, that sounds pretty bad.
And a year from that date, an arrow will strike you featuring that little bone,
Oh, right, and it won't go in.
and it will take your life,
Oh,
he says.
that sounds bad.
Should have paid it more.
Lucky you only get the next 10 days.
Yeah.
But he says, lucky for you, that doesn't happen to the next 10 days, so you'll have a good time.
Right. Good to know.
Depending on if you find the fountain.
He said that because of the size of this island, there's no desert where you can capture orc or something.
It is a very mountainous place, and there are quite a lot of tiers. So it could quite easily be a plateau, like where the Etruscan grew up, and there are a lot of those around that have different climates.
Okay, but looking at the overarching map, the island didn't seem to be that big, but obviously the scale of that map is pretty impressive.
Okay, so an inch on that map at its normal size. So I'd probably say that that island is probably over 356 miles in length.
Okay.
Yeah, 756 miles per inch, and the island is more than an inch long.
Okay.
And it has mountains that are amongst the tallest in the world. So it's mainly mountains with all little living settlements off the sides of it.
Right.
Okay.
And he hopes you enjoy your future.
Thank you very much. It's good to hear it.
And he continues on asking people to donate a coin for future or improving his immunity to poison. So, then you hear the ruckus caused by a bunch of kids coming down the street, followed by Playman.
Pied Piper.
And he has about 100 kids all cheering him. And everywhere he steps, you see all the adults turn their back to him.
Alright.
Oh, there's gonna be a war.
Alright, so I got some treasure to pick up at the priest's quarters.
Okay, so and then you catch up with them as your Griffin Rider shows up at the same time, looking very unhappy with the fact that he couldn't find anyone who would actually make a suit of armor.
Yes.
But
What are you wearing at the moment? You've got metal armor, haven't you?
Yeah, probably just wearing my original old metal armor.
Plate armor. Right.
Mark,
Which Martin?
you, Mark.
Okay.
Is this basically like the same sort of temperament and climate as in here as well?
Yes, it is. It is on the equator, and it has very much tropical forest feel to it.
Climate looks up to our Flappy Boy and says, "My friend, you make a mistake. You want a big piece of metal armor. Before you get to battle, you're out. This is not the place for big, shiny metal appendage for clothes."
As we start approaching presumably the center of the city, and we see Harmon and his children's crusade heading up the other street. But he also notices that the adults are turning their back on him as he walks past, or
Yep.
right, whatever, Dimitri will mention to Willie that we may not wish to show connection to our companion over there. He appears to have created a name for himself that may make interaction with others more difficult.
Yeah,
fine,
maybe.
really, guys.
Yeah, I'll back off.
Like, it doesn't mind if you go for it, but it's, Dimitri's very hesitant about actually acknowledging his presence and.
Well, I don't want to steal the limelight.
So you're turning your back on Plum too. Is that a good idea?
Barman actually completely ignores you guys, apart from Black Boy.
Okay, so while you're doing that, you hear the trumpet of 10 elephants coming from one of the other avenues. And you see a bunch of humans and dwarves leading the elephants into what's known as the Warriors' Quarter. And they seem to be dragging cartloads of marble behind them.
Marble.
So the elephants aren't as big as the woolly mammoth you rode earlier, but it is still impressive compared to some of the animals you've seen.
Is there anyone around that we can ask a question of?
Oh, there's always lots of people around you can ask questions of.
What's all that about?
Artisan's working.
Ah. Cool.
Hot.
Alright.
He looks at you strange. Aren't you artisan?
Yeah, sure.
He just pats you on their head and gives you a drink. And goes back to what he's doing.
Okay.
It's a cool, refreshing drink of water.
Alright.
Apparently, he thought you needed one.
Well, I was going to say, is there a purify spell?
There is purified drink on water.
No, I don't have it.
Barman follows the.
You've travelled before.
Okay, so
That's
yes.
what I was thinking too. I'm like, especially not if it has ice in it.
You see them using the elephants as beasts of labour for construction, and the elephants are picking up stone blocks and moving them, where the dwarves are pushing them into place and setting them, where most of the humans are keeping the elephants safe from their people. So that they have those like little sticks they use to what most people think would use to hit the animals. They use them to hit the people.
Okay. And this is in the warrior quarters.
Yes.
Barman's going to put himself like very discreetly. No, he's got an army of children. Starting young. He's going to put himself in a position where he'll eventually be hit by a giant stick.
So these elephants and their handlers, are they actually moving through the city, or are they working at a certain location?
They move through the city carrying blocks up to a building, and then move to the building to start working at that building site.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. And we just happen to be keeping pace with them for a little while, and then stopped at this building site.
They came in through a different entrance.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because you came in through the what would probably be the priest's entrance,
Mm-hmm.
and they came in through more of the worker entrance. And Clayman, when that the guy is pushing other people out of the way, he doesn't hit you at all and steps around you. And the only people he actually strikes are those who are ignoring you.
Oh, this is going to be fantastic. I mean, it's fun.
So you believe that.
You had no stealth. You're invisible.
Yeah, I know, right?
So growing up amongst the Ethengarians, you do have the same sort of caste system. And you would know that to strike a lower caste person for no reason can be seen as shameful.
Yeah.
and basically telling those of other castes to wary of the danger, especially of an animal like an elephant stepping on you, is something he would only do of the appropriate caste. So he wouldn't actually tell anyone of the lowest caste to get out of the way. It's up to them to determine or get squished.
Yeah, so Mark's actually a Wigger of Epica,
Yep.
which is more of the most disliked, one of the most disliked planets amongst, well, not the most disliked, but definitely not.
He's amongst them. So he knows his treatment.
Yeah, so he's going to make himself really annoying to the guy that's trying to push people out of the way. Like, really, really annoying.
The guy pretends completely that you're not doing anything annoying whatsoever.
Yeah. Really going to spend some time on this.
Even if it means he spends 10 minutes just trying to walk around you.
Yep. And he's also going to very quietly whisper to him that he's weak. And generally just spending quite a lot of energy provoking him. Through taunts, irritation, you name it.
So after about 10 minutes of doing that, he sighs, puts his hand in his pocket and pulls out a coin and gives it to you.
Oh, fun takes it.
And then Okay, let's see what he does. Okay, so at that point he turns over his shoulder and calls the dwarves over.
Yeah.
And these two dwarves looking a little different than any dwarves you've met before. They don't have any beards.
Whoa.
Ew. Gross.
They're not actually dwarves. They're just short humans.
They're just midgets.
They're just short, stocky humans.
Oh no.
They look you up and down and in very strange accent ask if they can help you somehow. You seem to be a bit sun-touched, they say.
You are a weird, fat-looking halfling, are you not?
They look at each other and going, better to be cool than hairy.
So you are a weird, fat-looking halfling.
He sort of looks at his body and he said, I see no fat here.
I have been amongst some of the greatest dwarves to have ever lived, and they would sooner be dead than have no beard.
He looks at you puzzled. What's a beard got to do with a dwarf? No dwarves have beards.
That is disgusting.
The smartest dwarf is the clean-shaven dwarf, he says, touching his chin.
Yes, and I'm sure you're abundantly blessed with smarts and brains, but really, just a bit soft.
I've got food on the table. I've got plenty of work. I am happy with this life. Can you say the same?
Oh, I will find this boat. That I am sure.
I sense you have the air of a horseman around you. Where have your horses gone, or have you misplaced them? He says.
So I'm starting to lose for a second. My horses stay where they need to be, but for now, I think we'll see what happens. I think I'll have one of those elephants.
So you could try, but they don't just work for anyone.
It must be great. Anyway, so this is the warriors' quarters. There doesn't seem to be many warriors here, so I'm going to go where there might be someone actually worth talking to, like perhaps the untouchables. Have fun, goodbye.
He waves, and you see him shaking his head as he goes back to heavy labor.
Bellat looks to the big guy who was ignoring him. Which,
Yep.
well, this one, not all of them, and just looks down upon him and makes some comment about him being weak.
And amusingly, it doesn't provoke him in any way.
Well, I'd be surprised if it did. Because, I mean, Bella had been talking from a long way away.
I know. And then, and so the dwarves help the children on their way as well, so they don't get trampled on.
Yeah, Bellat yells out to the children, "Come, children, show me where you're from. Let me meet your families."
And then the children just start dragging Flayman off into the distance.
Cool.
With Simply Red and Little Miss following on.
And same. From here on, I'm probably going to be chubby in and out, so I might just listen myself.
All good. And if you can pop back in again, let us know, and we'll continue on with you.
Yeah, no, I'll be here.
Okay, so as they're heading off, I might get Willie to make a perception check.
Well, the other thing, Dimitri's also, as you look around,
22.
about I can't remember what his name was, but in his dreams, the old man that was trying to talk to him,
Yep.
would he fit any of these tasks that we've seen so far in any way?
He would probably fit what you would consider to be their holy man. Was it coming?
I thought it was a book.
Yeah, so in that case then, yeah, Dimitri will still be heading towards the temple in the centre of town as the potential location.
So
As their holy man might be.
while you're heading that way, Willie, you do notice a guy at the corner emptying out a satchel of what appears to be dried leaves, and throwing his satchel down in disgust.
All right, I'll sidle up to him and ask him if there's anything I can help him with.
He looks you up and down and goes, "Sure," and he starts talking to you.
Right.
And you feel his hands start trying to go into pockets.
Right. Well, that's not good.
He says, "What's not good?"
Well, what if I knee him in the balls or something like that?
Okay, so that'd be quite a high kick.
Balls with your knee.
Yeah,
You could almost headbutt him in the balls.
okay, I could do that.
It's why you notice you can't reach in your pockets, you have to reach down so far.
Plus, he also rolled such a high number of 4. So yes, you give him one solid punch and he doubles over,
All right.
and he thanks you for it.
Okay. This is a weird country.
And you hear a couple of people clap nearby, and they look disappointed that you didn't kill him.
Okay.
So,
Well, it seems to have done its job. I don't think it needs to be going overboard.
did you look at whatever it was he was dumping, or?
Well, he's trying to steal something.
Well, he was trying to steal something from you,
Yeah.
but what was he doing that got your attention? He was dumping something, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Having a look at it,
Leaves.
seems to be some sort of leaves.
Very precious leaves.
Do you have medicine?
No.
In which case, leaves.
Do you guys have medicine?
No, Dimitri doesn't.
Farmer does.
Is he anywhere nearby?
No, you see him being dragged off by kids.
Okay.
And you head on closer to the temple where Dimitri's heading.
Yep.
And as you're walking past, an alpaca Apothecary nearby asks you for assistance.
Is that
Pocket fairy.
Apothecary.
Oh,
I believe that is David cutting in and out.
Hang on, I'll check myself.
That was
Okay.
because that was road noise going ding 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 ding. Okay, so the apothecary nearby is asking for your assistance as Dimitri completely ignores it as to his cast.
All right. What can I do for you?
He says he's just had a bag of herbs stolen. He was hoping you can help him because he's got a sick friend he was trying to get the herbs to, and he's lost the bag.
Yeah, I saw them being dumped by someone.
Dumped. He looks very unhappy.
I think he was just kind of looking for money or something like that.
But I don't have money.
Yeah, but he didn't know that.
I don't have herbs. My friend's gonna die.
Let's take me to the guy.
Well, the other question is, so how far have you moved on from the from where you had the herbs dumped?
About a block,
Yeah.
which in this place is quite a distance.
Yep, that's her.
Okay, so
Dimitri will sigh and follow along.
says, can your important-looking friend keep people out of my shop over there while I take you to my friend?
You mean that guy, Dimitri?
Oh yeah, I can't talk to him. He's too high a caste.
All right. I'll ask him.
That would be appreciated, friend.
All right. Are you able to do that, Dimitri?
Why would we?
I don't know, but it seems to be something. Anyway.
Dimitri will look over at the shop. It looks like it's got a bit of shade.
It does have shade.
Don't be long.
Okay.
And he drags you deeper into the artisan district.
All right.
So you pretty much cross the courtyard.
I'll keep an eye on my stuff.
And Dimitri will have a look around the shop and see what might be value and interest.
Inside it has quite a lot of different compounds and stuff, all labelled in a strange language. Yeah, your amulet doesn't translate the words; it only translates the speech.
Yep.
It's a very Sanskrit style text.
Oh, Dimitri will. Oh, hang on, I don't know. Can't remember what it said, but yeah. Does divination work? Spell work? I don't think they do.
They do not work here at all.
Well, he's got time while he's sitting around, probably, so he'll put some effort into a ritual to see if he can do a comprehend languages. And I'll pass the time for the next 10 minutes or so.
Okay, you spend a little while trying to perfect the ritual. You get a whole 6 attempts at doing it before they return.
Okay.
So about 20 minutes in, you find yourself in one of the middle of artisan's building. It's mostly made out of wood, very sturdy, but also not as well built as you'd expect. And he takes you into a guy who seems to have some sort of fever.
So I've got a healing word evocation. Does that count?
Does it remove sickness? Or does it...
Evocations can work, but obviously you've got a skill check to pass them.
Right, but it doesn't sound like... Well, I don't have the one that's about cure sickness.
So that
Cure
one, I
disease.
believe, it would be lesser restoration. Do you have lesser restoration?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, lesser restoration, second level.
Yep. You cast that on him, and he looks miraculously healed.
Woohoo! I do actually have it. That's awesome.
You have the power of a priest with you, my friend, he says.
Well,
Try not to advertise that too much, for the priest's power has not been visible for the last year.
Right.
They have been lacking, and the people are angry with the priests
Right.
because things are going wrong.
And no one's up, and they're not able to fix it.
The priests are the top of the pecking order, and if the priests can't actually do the priest job,
Yeah.
the top of the section has no power. The
Mm.
second from the top are the warrior caste.
And we've seen how useless they are.
And currently they're a vacuum of power right now as well.
Yep.
This is one of the few things keeping the city alive is the Artisans Guild. And they're pretty much at loggerheads with each other.
So you seem to be in the know about a lot of these things, about these goings on.
Because that's the way it's been for the last year, not how it's always been.
Okay. Hmm.
Those who have been touched by God spend time at the Temple of the Eight Sweet Winds to learn how better to serve the people.
Is that the kind of thing you do?
I don't pretend to be pretentious enough to be religious.
Right. Would we be allowed into the Temple of the Eight Sweet Winds?
It says, everyone seeking enlightenment is welcome.
Okay, I guess that's us.
As long as you seek enlightenment, then they will welcome you. Plus, they have no soldiers to keep you away.
Okay.
He sort of mutters under his breath, I don't believe we actually have any soldiers in this nation.
Hmm.
He's never seen anyone raise a weapon in defense of another.
So what do the warriors do?
He sort of spits in the ground and says that.
Okay. Alright, well I was glad...
They will fight for the priest, but very little else.
Okay. Well, I was glad to be of service.
He thanks you greatly and offers you accommodation in his shop anytime you need a place to stay.
We may need somewhere like that, but yeah.
And then he takes you back to his shop where you see Dimitri still trying to get his uncomprehended languages to work correctly.
Right.
With that look of patience you rarely see on him.
We've got opportunity to test it out. So.
And all these people look like they're about to head in, see him and walk the other way. Because obviously they can't enter the shop while someone of such a high standing is in the shop.
Right.
You cannot enter a place where a higher caste is standing.
Now
So in fact, Dimitri's enjoyed some blessed peace and separation from the press and
the
body
rest of the
outside.
other party.
And the plebs.
So it's for the first time Dimitri's had an hour to himself.
That's right.
So the guy that I'm
what are you doing back
talking,
already?
the guy that I'm talking to,
Yeah.
that had me heal his friend, is his friend coming back with us?
No, he's going to now rest that he's no longer feverish
Okay.
and recover the rest of his health.
All right.
Because he's done the equivalent of exhaustion.
Yeah.
Multiple levels of exhaustion due to fever.
No worries.
And he takes you back to the to his shop and he says, "Is there anything I may give you to be of assistance?"
There's this guy who wants some
It was really
armor.
no trouble to look up your shop. There was no customer. It was all okay.
No, I don't need armor.
Okay.
Says, "I'd be hard pressed to get you something to protect such a mighty steed," he says, admiring your griffin. But one such as you, wearing metal in a place so hot, is not recommended. The priests love spells to heat metal.
Ah.
It is the most common spell a priest knows.
But doesn't it have some padding underneath it to
It would still be pretty
to
bad.
help
It
with
can still
chafing?
damage you.
Chafing?
Well, and let's face it, around here, it probably starts pretty hot anyway.
And when it goes red hot or white hot, padding doesn't help.
Thick layers of padding underneath the armor. Is that what you've got?
Yeah, it would. It would
Yeah.
be. You have a canvas and stuff under heavy armor.
But most even chain shirts has padding underneath. Otherwise, you would be ripping your skin to shreds. And so, yes, you managed to get some respite from the sun. You can either take a short rest or a long rest there after all this travel you guys have done.
Oh yeah. Well, I cast a spell, but I don't know if I need 8 hours.
Well, you have had 5 days of uninterrupted travel time.
Oh, okay. So
And
we
it'd
actually
be-
do need a long rest.
You haven't had any exhaustion from it, but you've been traveling for 5 days without sleep.
All right. Well, I'll go for a long sleep.
Luckily, your celestial form doesn't need sleep, but it is really weird to have had 5 whole days of... I've been
Yes.
awake for 5 days. I should be feeling this.
Well, you could at least wait for nightfall.
I'd prefer to go out and about at night time.
At which point he just looks at the apothecary, looks at Dimitri and says, "It's not nice to tease people.
Well,
We only have nightfall once every
it's also,
9
it's also
months.
disappointing when they so really take the bait.
It's not monsoon season, so we have sun up until monsoon season,
Of course.
which is rapidly approaching. Which it rains for, he says, 50 days straight. They have no rain for the rest of the year, and then 50 days of straight rain.
Wonder what
And
time measurement they
expect not
actually
much.
use, because they wouldn't use days.
Well, they do have rest periods, and rest
They
periods
use
to them
sleeps.
is a day because their culture grew up with the term days, so they have the word days in their culture.
Yeah.
But they can even use rotation.
I guess they use like clocks or something, like water clocks or something.
Well, they use the floating continents.
Oh yeah, okay.
And they use those to tell what is considered a day, because when a continent gets to a certain point, that is the start and end of a day. And it's better than any mechanical clock you can think of, because all you have to do is look up.
It's like a different kind of astrology.
It is. But technically, it actually is what astrology is. The
Well, astrology.
mapping of stars and planetary bodies. And from this
I think
perspective,
that's technically
they
astrology.
use
Astronomy,
astronomy.
not astrology.
Astronomy.
I don't think so. I don't think islands
floating-
floating inside a planet would count.
They found
Well, it would be the equivalent.
they follow the same principles of a solar system. So inside the hollow world is literally its own solar system.
Interesting.
If Willie is feeling like he's needing a long rest, what time of the day is it from the apothecary's perspective?
From his perspective, you're probably approaching. He says, looking at the halfling, fourth breakfast.
What?
Fourth breakfast. Yeah.
He's dealt with many halflings in his time, and he prefers to give halflings the correct frame of reference, which would probably be for the halflings term about probably about an hour to lunch.
Yes. So there's breakfast, second breakfast, 11s, and then lunch.
Well, 11s then. He'd be saying just after 11s.
So surely we don't want to actually rest at this stage.
The temple itself never sleeps, as neither does the city. Everyone picks a time to be active, and we don't have any night conditions, which you may find in strange cultures that don't understand that the sun doesn't change. So why should we all have a morning to sunset routine?
Talking to the apothecary, being like, so if I wanted to try and find one of these, I believe you call them sandoos.
Sandoos you can find everywhere. The majority of them stand on sticks in the water for no particular reason. I'm sure that makes them feel holier the more they sit on a stick.
Yes, but I'm confident that the one I'm looking for is not sitting on a stick. In which case,
Do you know his name?
the temple in the centre of town would be a likely location to find them.
Many would, though there is one particular one who is in the centre of town.
One particular sandu, you mean?
Yeah.
Like a high priest or a high holy man?
No,
Holiest of holy?
he just is someone who spends a lot of time in the centre of town. In the centre of the tower.
And
He names him as Chatterjee.
that's a familiar name. So Dimitri's thinking to himself, well. And you say, so he's unusual that he spends a lot of time in the centre of town compared to the other sandus? If he's not standing on a stick?
The holiest that they become, the closer to the temple they go. And he sits in the centre of the temple.
Wow. He certainly sounds like someone that's worth talking to.
Though he is not a priest.
Well, that may not be a bad thing considering the situation. One can still deign to talk to non-priests.
Yes. Many of the other Samdu do not like him because he's too oriented in the ways of the world.
Would that not make him less holy? And yet the holiest of the holies are in the centre of town, the centre of the city, and he's in the centre of the centre?
It's basically your personal belief of holiness to where you stand.
That I can understand.
And most think he is taking on heirs beneath his station.
Beneath his station or above his station?
Oh, above his station. Yeah.
Okay. And so from our current location, how long do we think it would take him to get to the temple?
It would probably take you about 10 minutes to get to the temple, and then about 4 hours to get into the temple.
Well, I was going to say, Dimitri's not actually asked that question, he was based on distance where you can see type stuff, so I guess he probably wouldn't necessarily know how long it would take to get in.
Well, looking up, you see the path to get to the edge of the temple fairly easy, but the amount of people on the temple grounds itself is it makes every other place you're seeing appear as if there's plenty of breathing room. Here you're shoulder to shoulder to everyone. It's a thieves' dream. Perhaps we'll need to ride your beast again.
How many people can fit on your griffin? How many? Probably 3 at most.
For a griffin, normally 2. Anything more than that starts to add a lot of excess weight.
With a halfling, would it count?
It's got 18 strength. It's pretty strong.
It's still a lot of weight for people because it's people in their gear.
Like maybe the halfling can
Two halflings
carried by the talon.
It's 2 halflings or a medium-sized person.
Okay.
Besides you.
But it's only a short flight.
But
I'll take one and then another. I'll just ferry you guys across.
We can fly.
But they can also walk there. The amount of time it would take you to fly up there and find a place to land, you may as well have walked there by that time.
Is that right?
Yes, but it's a case of flying over the top of all the masses actually on the temple grounds.
And the other problem is there's nowhere to land once he gets up there. You'd have to jump off the griffin in flight and land on probably about 20 to 30 people.
Or just jump off on top of the floating thing on top.
I'm wearing full plate. I can feather fall. Look out below!
Can you?
As I slowly fall.
Can you feather?
Yeah, I've got feather fall. It's part of my class.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
It's part of the
remember,
Griffin
if he
Riders.
needs to, he can turn into a flying snake.
There's that too.
Well, you'd want feather fall if you fly
As
a
lo-
griffin.
As long as he's not wearing armor at the time. Actually, the armor does change too. Because it's only the magical stuff that
Just
does
not
not.
the-
Oh yeah, just turn into
no
a
one can
snake,
access it.
guys. What are you doing? Turn into a snake.
Everyone
Snake
but,
your way up.
everyone but Dimitri can turn into a snake.
And I
Snake,
can
yeah.
fly a griffin.
People won't get in your way anyway. People might go, you're a divine being, because you're a celestial. Who knows?
And they do worship
Well-
snakes, apparently.
Oh.
As everything else. And the
Dimitri will take the opportunity when talking about why we want to get to the centre. He'll say the fact that, well, yes, I don't know if you've had it, but yes, on my travels over here, the presumably Asterius attempted his communication again via dreams. And okay, he's talking quietly to the without like so the shopkeeper could be away somewhere else. But, and explain the fact that yes, this Chatterjee fellow is probably someone we need to meet. So I would suggest that we may as well continue. If it doesn't look like we'll be able to actually land at the temple, we may as well aim to move it through.
And as you're ready to head off, he says, "May the 33,333 gods be with you."
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I think both of them are.
He just rugs. Everyone has their own belief, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We are taught of the 33,333 gods as part of our studies.
And how many have you seen lately?
I've never seen a god, he says.
Have you seen any impact of the gods lately?
Not for most of this year.
As I said, I suspect that both of them are watching us.
So it's quite possibly, depending on which aspect of the god is watching you, he says. And just because the aspect of the god, you might have two aspects of the same god also watching you, each with different agendas.
Yes, unfortunately, when I speak of both, I'm not talking about different aspects of the same. So, but thank you. Your shop has been restful.
And he offers you respite anytime you need it while in the city.
We may well be back.
Okay.
But yeah, so before departing the shop, or actually just like at the thing, Dimitri will actually do a ritual for Phantom Steed,
Yep.
so that then he can at least be riding and therefore above the masses somewhat.
Do you make one for Playman when he's going with you?
No, I can only do one time anyway. Oh no, sorry, no, no.
Yeah, they're not
But
concentration.
Is Climate actually with us at the moment?
He is with you when you've had your rest.
Oh, that's
Climate is with you both in heart and in mind, but also in body.
well, but okay. So we are having an 8-hour rest. Is that the thought process?
Yep, I was going to say you can have an 8-hour rest, so you are fully rested.
Okay. And he's got this proprietary space for all of us to sleep.
He does. He even has enough room for the Griffin to rest comfortably.
Well then, okay. While we're resting, I will certainly be interested in discussing the various herbs that the gentleman has in his store, and looking at it from a more of an alchemical view rather than a pocket third type view. But
Well, he does name things that you've heard of as spices, things that you've heard of as poisons, things that you've heard of as dyes and ointments, and apparently their uses in various forms of medicine, which, from his description of them, treats everything from headaches to infection and other things like that.
Yeah.
Where he can treat any ailment without the use of magic.
Okay, then, and then
The sea monster
yes.
likes this.
And so, well, then yes. After resting, Dimitri will do a ritual for two
Steeds.
horses. Do it again. Phantom horses.
Phantom steeds. And you notice that when Playman gets on his does seem to bulk up.
Okay.
Because every time he mounts a horse that he considers his, and it's the person who gives it to him considers his, it becomes his steed for that time.
Mm-hmm.
And every time it's considered his steed, it gains barbarian levels.
Okay, all my levels in barbarian levels.
Well, that's good, considering it's only half there.
There we go. Ramen is uncomfortable about this, but he'll go with it.
Yes, Dimitri has given Plum something that actually works with his ability to ride.
This time we went with a horse rather than a joke. But he recommends that Clovis lead the way with Willie piggybacking.
Yep.
Oh.
So, as you go in, you head towards the central block of the city, which is a vast circular garden with 8 tiers of gardens, with each tier at least being 10 feet higher than the other, with each tier having a moat and a bridge between each tier.
Wow.
That was the description of what this picture was supposed to be.
It's pretty cool.
So the description doesn't quite match the picture, and the city itself is supposed to rise up like a bowl around the temple itself. So you can see
A bowl upside down?
no, this
Oh,
is
like
in
that.
this is in the very bottom, and the city goes up all around it, very much in a similar example to how the Hollow World curves up around you in the distance.
Yeah.
You see
I'm guessing by the description of the fact that the
That's weird.
buildings got taller on the outside. It's
Yeah.
not that the ground is bowl-shaped, it's the size of the building turns it into a bowl.
Yes, that is correct. So from when you're looking backwards, you see as if the buildings themselves curve upwards, even though it's just they're getting taller and taller the further away from the center you get. And it's an amazing sight to see, even though you realize that the further you get from the city center, the worse the buildings are in structural integrity.
But it does mean that everybody gets to see the temple.
From the roof, yes.
Well, okay, everyone can get a view of the temple.
Yeah. And each tier is a full garden with fruits and trees and way too many people. And it does look like the definition of paradise, if there were no people here, that most religions talk about. It stands out that much in comparison to the city. And in the very center stands an 8-sided tower of thick red sandstone that go up another 240 feet, with each wall having 2 openings. At the base of each side is a large doorway inlaid with many coloured scenes demonstrating one of the 8 cardinal virtues of Samdu. The second opening near the top of the wall is a large eye-shaped window permitting winds from every compass point to swirl inside, cooling the devotees. so the magnificence of the temple almost makes you forget yourself on your quest. As you come to yourself and glance around the garden, you see two elements that look out of place. Around the temple, not blocking the great doorways, are at least 100 Samdus. They sit or stand in weird postures, gazing without a blink on this masterpiece of magic and art. Some stand on their heads. One holds his arm aloft, and has done so for so long that a parrot has nested in his outstretched hand. Still another lies on a bed of spikes with a huge rock on his chest. From within the temple come clouds of marble dust and incense, along with the sounds of hammering, sawing, and chiseling. You get a lot of sound of infrastructure happening in there. Above the temple, the roof itself seems to curve downward and inward, and above it floats an onion-shaped dome of smooth pink stone. So on top of this red brick is this pink stone onion-shaped roof. So you can imagine that is all red brick, and that is pink.
Okay.
Nice.
And yes, and you've managed to work your way right up to the area after having the griffin scare a lot of people out of the way.
Fantastic.
Because a giant animal landing amongst them, all but the Samdus move. Not a single Samdu even blinks in your direction.
Well, when I said that he was going to lead, I was more thinking that could be walking on the ground to his face better. But either way,
and you see everywhere there's a mess of food, drink, money, flowers, items piled up all around the wall of the temple.
So are there people around other than the Samdus?
Yes, people bringing things and adding it to the pile of wealth outside the temple.
Okay. And you said it sounded like there was stuff going on in the temple? Lots of dust or something?
You can hear hammering and banging noises from inside the temple.
Okay. But does it look like any work's going on outside? Like in the sense of, like, does it look like there's any half-finished parts or anything like that?
No, outside everyone's sort of just standing around, kneeling, praying, staring incessantly. And you notice that each door you can see has a different bas relief on it.
Can we recognise the reliefs?
You remember from talking with the apothecary during the downtime.
Yeah.
That each compass point represents a different virtue. North is charity. Northwest is knowledge. West is fortitude. Southwest is law. South is benevolence. Southeast is purity. East is courage. And northeast is vigor.
Mm-hmm. And have we entered from any particular direction at this stage?
Heading in, I would say you'd probably be either looking at knowledge or benevolence, depending on which way you came in. Any option was possible. You could, and when you circumvent it, you can come up at any angle.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's it. Like, the key to actually do a bit of a circuit of the place, if only to gaze upon its wonder, but also to look around to find out what's happening.
And from what you've remember hearing, this is considered one of the wonders of the Hollow World that never existed on the outside world.
Mm.
This was never part of any culture that was transplanted. This temple.
Well, okay. If we come in from the side that was near the door of knowledge, after doing a circle thing, we'll probably be again near the door of knowledge, and that seems perfectly appropriate for Demeter and Devire. But
then you see many.
Before we go in,
yep.
As I say, he'll be curious to see if there's anyone who's willing to talk about the construction. Like, if it doesn't appear there's any construction on the outside, what's going on inside that needs so much work?
Well, while you're there at the door of knowledge, you see that there are many academics who are praying for discovering lost work. When you were near the door of wealth, many beggars were praying to Kudesha, giver of wealth. When you were near the door of vigor, you had many sick and old appealing to Runa, giver of vigor. At the door to knowledge, the scholars are appealing to an elephant-headed Gantera, giver of knowledge. And basically there's just lots of noise. So where you were in the marketplace area, it was almost like silence compared to the amount of noise going on here with the banging in the distance.
Yep.
And everyone is sort of hectic. And when you ask one of them, they say that the priests are trying to appease the gods inside. Mainly that the priests are all working there.
Okay. So it's the priests who are doing the renovations.
He says
overseeing others.
he that the priests are doing the work inside. He says. So near the doorway of the knowledge stands the figure of Gantera. It's a statue of an elephant-headed man, 16 feet tall, and made of polished dark green stone. Suddenly, small red flowers ascend from the roof of the temple, apparently materializing in midair. The red flowers, tiny roses, vanish as soon as they touch anything. Flute music seems to come from everywhere. As you watch, the statue begins to slowly flex its trunk. The worshippers give ecstatic cries and kneel down. The statue raises its arms in benediction. Chanting and prayers stop as the other shrines as people turn to watch. Some people are running towards the statue. A few are running out of the temple, but most are spellbound. The figure raises its trunk and trumpets a deafening note. It makes your ears ring, and some of you have trickles of blood run from your noses.
Yes.
Some of the scaffolding across the temple collapses. Fortunately, no one was on it. But those beneath barely got away without injury. But instead of running, now many people are actually praying hard at this terrible thing. The Samdu who sat in the middle of the temple is stirring from his meditations. He looks very frightened because the statue has started to walk right towards him.
And he would be thinking it was obviously recognizing the greatness and holiness of Dimitri.
Hey, there are many things that could happen because of that.
You suggested the Sandu in the middle of the temple.
How big is it?
Familiar?
He does look very familiar to your dreams.
Okay. I will point out that I'm pretty certain that's the strategy guy we were trying to catch up with.
Where did I put all those books? That one. So, I will get you to do initiative rolls while I look up the appropriate thing for it.
Can somebody roll for me with advantage, please?
Give advantage on the
With a
initiative.
10.
He has advantage because
it's
of his
better
special
than the
thing.
1.
If you have something that gives you advantage, that's
16
also
plus
2.
18.
Okay. So that means it gives you a chance to do something. You do notice that most people here will let whatever it does happen because that was meant to happen.
Of course.
If they're going to die, they're going to die. Okay, I'm just going to quickly find where my references is. So, what did Dimitri get for his initiative?
8.
What did Plowman get for his when you rolled it?
Oh, he got a 10.
With advantage?
Yeah, but I don't know what bonus is it. 11. Oh, sorry. All right.
What did Willie get?
22.
And what did Sir Clovis get?
18.
18.
Sorry, Plumman.
Well, it does happen.
It's totally accurate, to be honest.
Could you pass me the Ghost of Saltmarsh book from behind you? Hopefully it's one standing up on its side, or it's under the pile of books. Finding the right book that has the creature I want he's always had.
It's very hard to see.
If you have to move the books to the shelf above, that also works.
Is it okay if
Yeah, put the half the books on the top.
No, that's Icewind Dale. Saltmarsh. Because I like to hide all their nice different things in different books.
Yeah. Well, as long as it's not the Kraken.
Well, the Kraken here would be quite horrific for you.
Actually, I think that's in the main book, so that's fine.
Yeah, it could always be the tourist.
Yeah.
It always makes an interesting thing. I'm sure Playman could write that one. Okay, so Willie, apparently you are the fastest moving person at the moment.
Yeah.
What would you like to do with this beast of a creature heading towards the person that you've been told you need to talk to?
What does it look like? Is it like a reptile or?
It looks like an elephant that's 18 feet tall, made out of jade. You have fought jade creatures before.
An elephant or an elephant minotaur type thing?
The elephant humanoid.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So-
It's a humanoid with an elephant.
Which some of you know may exist in the deserts west of Darrakin.
Well, I'm going to cast a spell called Fear and kind of move out of its way. But maintain the... what range has Fear got?
Okay, so I will give you a Arcana check on that one
Ah,
before you cast it.
okay. Is it immune to Fear?
So,
12.
12. Oh yeah, you can cast it.
Right, it's that bad. Okay.
You couldn't remember any reason why not to.
Okay. Alright. So it's got where are we? So I get close enough to project into its face
Yep.
within a 30-foot cone, so I don't want to get too close to it. But it starts from me,
Yep.
and then it's a 30-foot cone. What happens?
Okay, so there's a whole lot of people in between you and it who start screaming in fear,
Well, that's good, because they run out of the way.
and they just cower on their ground.
Right.
They're like turning into little balls on the ground,
Okay.
and it seems unaffected.
It seems unaffected. Right. Okay.
So Clovis, you are on your griffin.
Mm-hmm.
You have seen this elephant tower above you, Elephant Man. Guardian of Knowledge has trumpeted its arrival in this world.
Is it attacking us?
It's moving towards the holy man in the center of the temple that you said you were going to go talk to.
you want to intercept it?
I might. How far is this holy man from me?
He would probably be. Well, first you've got to get in through the doors. Then you've got to move through all the scaffolding to get to him. As this creature is just pushing scaffolding out of the way as he walks.
How far would it take to get to the holy man?
I believe he would be about 100 odd feet from you. See if I can turn the mic down on the other end.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
So
Okay, could I move my griffin 80 foot towards the holy man, and then dash and move a bit, and then get up to him, and have my character grab the holy man, and then use the rest of the dash to fly away?
okay, so the creature's standing near the door.
Oh,
walks
right.
It walks into the door and in towards the holy man. You're standing outside, admiring creature. Then having to go in through the area where it's knocking scaffolding down all over the place as it's walking.
But you can go above and then down. Would that work? Would that
Look,
work?
you haven't even looked inside the temple yet.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
It's pretty big, right?
Yeah, it's a big temple.
Okay, so I can't fly in.
Not going around
I can't fly in the
through one of the
temple.
other doors.
You haven't gone into the temple yet, so you have to force your way in through the door before you actually fly.
So the door's closed.
No, the door is currently swinging off hinges as the creature broke through the frame. You're following. You'll be following the creature in behind it.
We're
Yeah.
able to see through enough to actually see the
Yeah, I
door.
can't get around past it. Right. Okay.
Because there's also things flying either side of it as it's pushing its way through scaffolding the whole
Yep.
way.
Remember though, you won't be able to, you probably can't get around it through the door of knowledge, but you could go through one of the adjacent doors.
Yes, you could rush around to
It
go to
might be
another
a
door.
longer distance, but
Sounds like you've got enough movement.
Okay, how much movement would that take?
I would say it would be 80 feet to get to another door,
Mm-hmm.
and then another 40 to get into the center.
Would the other door be open?
All the doors are open. It's just that you're going to be squeezing through the doors because they're designed for people to walk through, not griffins.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a large statue that's just basically walked through. That's something not designed for it, and it's just crumbling behind it.
Would that be like a maneuvering check of some kind?
It wouldn't fly through it.
I can't fly through it?
No, it's.
I'd have to land and...
The griffin itself will break the door going through it.
Is it a medium-sized door?
It is a medium-sized
A
door.
medium-sized door, okay, now this is making sense.
Which is why the large statue broke the other door going through
What
it.
do you think I should do, guys? Should I just attack the statue? I'm a little lost.
I think that you should look to see if the guy who is moving towards is scared.
Well,
that was the description.
he's meditating. He doesn't care. You know, look at them all. They don't care. They wouldn't get out of the way of my griffin. They don't care about their lives.
I'm pretty certain the description said that he was worried, wasn't it?
He did look worried, yes.
Oh. Well, I can't get in there.
Saying the fact that I was disappointed that the guy went to the elephant man went to him and not to recognise the greatness of Dimitri.
Alright, well, I will stab the elephant man in the bottom for not recognizing the greatness of Dimitri in our party.
Okay.
How dare he?
Your griffin can follow him in because he made a big enough hole in the entryway that a large creature can follow.
Yep.
Though you will take some falling debris damage as the wall itself is crumbling behind him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
As you're seeing scaffolding fall all over the place, as it's like it's wading through a sea of scaffolding, and there's just junk falling everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, you want to charge the back of him?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
That's what I do.
In which case, we will say you take 2d6 damage charging him. A whole 6 damage as he runs, as you run into him.
So have you jumped off the griffin and run at it, or
No, this is him on the griffin.
you've charged him with the griffin, yeah?
Does my griffin take damage as well?
Yes, your griffin should take as much damage as well.
Oh, okay.
As you're both being hit by falling debris. As you look above you, the entire area above you has scaffolding swinging around all over the place.
Okay.
There's wires and stuff everywhere.
Is this with disadvantage because I'm using my blood lance?
No, I'd say you wouldn't be at disadvantage.
Because of the preservation spell, I mean?
Yeah,
Okay, that's an
if you're
outsider as
holding on
well.
a natural creature,
It depends on what the creature is.
That's right.
If you're attacking the native, then yes, it would be a disadvantage.
Alright, I got a 15 plus 24?
24 hits.
I think it's 24. And I deal... Oh, charge. I've been forgetting about that. How does charge work?
Means you hit, you do double damage.
Okay, so I got 6 plus 6. 12 doubled is
24.
24. And then I hit again. I'll luck roll that. Got a natural one. Okay, I got a 4 plus 9 is the 13 a hit.
13 is not a hit. It glances off.
I may as well second attack and surge. That's the one. So I'll attack again. I'll luck point that.
How many luck points do you have?
3. I got a 21 this time.
21 this time. You hit.
Alright, it deals without the charged damage, right?
Without the charge damage,
It
yes.
deals 20 damage this time.
20 damage this time.
Rolled much better. And my second attack is a 22.
That's a hit.
And the damage is 5 plus 7, 12, 18.
18 damage.
Right.
That's quite a lot of damage.
It's a little hard to visualize how you fight with a lance. Like, I get the first bit, like
It's
you
like,
charge, right?
Charge! And
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
charge.
poke,
But then
poke,
you
poke, poke.
just like,
well, I mean, yeah, it's going to become a spear.
It becomes a spear.
but you never hold a lance like a spear.
Well, no, that's it.
Because you hold it way at the back.
No. You would adjust your grip. You'd actually end up using 2 hands, probably.
But there's no grip in the middle of a lance, or
There is
even
not.
it's just right at the end.
But it's more like you're just whacking it up and down on someone. Back, back, back.
Just jabbing,
Well,
like
but you've got to remember also
weird,
that
awkward jabs.
when you look at medieval history, a lot of the time when people referred to a lance, it was just a spear.
Yeah, that's true.
And normally they were just spears, yes.
I think lances were only ever in jousts, maybe.
No, even in jousts, they started off as just spears. They made them safer, so they weren't killing the other
They
knights.
used like really weak wood.
Not just that, they took the points off them
Yeah, that too.
because that they stopped being actual weapons of war, so that they could not kill the knights who they wanted to then use in war later.
And yeah, the concept of having sort of the cone protective around
It
that
made me curious. I'm going to find out later
is
if lances
about the
were
reason
real or not.
like
But if they were just like a...
So what it was that they would run until the spear broke, and then they would change to one of their other weapons. They would only carry one spear.
I wonder if, like, lances, as we picture them, were ever really used much.
they were.
They were, but in depending on which area you look at and what sort of knight you look at, because the armor changed to a point where even if the longbow and the crossbow would not pierce their armor, but getting the you weren't shooting at the knight, you were shooting at the horse, because if the knight fell on the ground, the knight wasn't getting back up again sometimes.
Yeah, no.
If you got to him before he got a chance to get himself back up again. So, Palaman is now up. He's still on his majestic horse. That's half there.
Plowman!
Can we hear Plumber?
I can hear the sound of his car. David! Now I don't hear the sound of his car
No,
at all.
that's right. Now all the sound's gone. So.
Oh.
Well, in which case, we'll come back to him when he can talk to us again. Are you there, David?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
Well, you're very squeaky at the moment.
Connection.
Hello.
I can hear you. I believe you're so far away from
Civilization.
reception that we can barely hear you.
You're very broken up.
Okay, so we'll wait until he gets himself back into better reception and continue on from when he does.
Yeah,
And-
just a comment up saying you left, so I'm guessing you dropped out.
And then we'll have Dimitri step up.
Well, he'll basically, yes, remain on his horse, and he will be, yeah.
And Dimitri recognizes the J statues you have fought before.
Have I?
Yes, you have in the Azcan temple.
Oh, okay, yes. So, but presumably there wasn't one of getting extra in the Azcan temple.
It was not of the elephant, but it was of a cat.
So,
And
so the statue I've cast fear on is immune to fear.
appears to be immune to fear.
Right.
Well, at least the spell didn't work anyway.
Well, it worked on the people.
Did it work on the people?
Yeah, that's true, yes. So, or maybe he's still just running away from you.
He is running away from you.
Well,
Or maybe a critical success.
Dimitri's a bit miffed that apparently he didn't wake up just to actually. Okay, David just put a message up saying attempt to intercept but not attack or something.
Okay.
It just popped up briefly and then.
We've established that's pretty hard.
Yeah,
because
attempt
it's
to
in the
intercept,
way.
don't attack until attacked.
Okay, so you see Plumman comes in on his spectral horse beside you.
And yeah, so Dimitri, as I said, being a bit miffed that the statue didn't wake up just for him. He's going to say, hey, look, I'm over here. And he's going to do a scorching ray, 3 bolts at the statue.
Okay.
So the first attack, 19 should hit.
19 does hit.
Well, that's 19 on the die, so yeah, I think I got +7 for memory. No, +8. So 27. Second one, 21.
Also hits.
Third one, 12.
Does not hit.
Okay. So 2 hits. 4. Ooh, that's nice. 12, 20, 26 points of fiery damage.
Okay, it takes the 26 points of fiery damage.
And hopefully the other scorching ray does not cause significant collateral damage.
You see part of the structures in there just melt under your ray.
Wow.
And starts to collapse.
Considering the amount of structural damage that's already occurring, I think that's not going to be a huge factor.
Okay. So the statue turns on our Sir Clovis and tries to bite him.
No.
And hits an armor class 21.
Just got me. If my armor works against it.
And does a 13 points of piercing damage.
I will use my reaction maneuver called when an attack Blackfeather's Fury. When an attack hits you or your griffin, use a reaction to make a melee attack with bonus 1d8 damage.
Okay.
I got a 16 plus 9, 25.
25 is a hit.
And I deal 5 plus 4, 9 plus 6, 15 damage.
Okay, you do 15 damage to it. And then it tries to claw you twice.
You're the tank.
First one is Such gets caught up in the scaffolding and he hears screams from above as it rips the scaffolding down.
That's good news. It's not you.
Yeah.
Second one, because you were so busy looking at the screaming people, blindsides you as he gets a natural 20.
Oof. There's a clever distraction. Oh, sorry, I just gotta answer the call quickly.
All good.
Hey, babe. Yeah, it goes to 10. I'll see you.
Okay, you get 22 slashing damage.
Ouch.
And then it is Willie's turn.
So fear didn't work on it. Would there be any benefit to a fireball?
You can try.
Well, you'll notice that
Would it torch a bunch of people?
the scorching ray certainly had an effect on it, but I would be concerned. Dimitri specifically didn't use fireball, considering the crowded area,
Okay.
and the fact that you're casting it into the interior of the temple.
Alright.
I was going to say, Dimitri might have limited concern for others, but even he wouldn't cast a fireball into that place.
Okay.
If nothing else, the person want to mix in there.
Alright, so I will... Oh, okay, well I'll use a reaction next time
Yeah.
to do cutting words, which will penalise when it tries to attack the guy. And fear didn't work. It's kind of all my... That's the limit. And it's not casting any spells.
It is not casting spells.
You could try and potentially do something about clearing away bystanders or getting to the guy we're looking for.
Isn't that what fireball's for?
I didn't say that's not a method of music, yes.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
Absolutely. Well, I would have said that yes, technically you already tried to clear away bystanders during the fear spell, but unfortunately they all stopped and just stayed on the ground. So. But hey, they're all fearful of you now, so if you go boogity boogity at them, they might run.
Okay, so creatures of your choice. This is compulsion.
Yeah.
Does enchantment work?
Not always. You have to roll.
Alright, let's roll. I got a 5.
Plus your history added to it.
It's a 13.
13 total, and what level spell is it?
4.
4. Then, unfortunately, you spend the spell slot and it doesn't
Okay.
work.
Alright, that's my turn.
Okay. And at the end of your turn, the green statue closes its fist, and you see dark energy come from Sir Clovis to the creature. As Sir Clovis loses another 5 points of damage from necrotic damage.
So is that a spell-like thing?
No.
Okay.
That's a legendary action.
Okay.
Legendary action.
Yes. And now it's Sir Clovis's turn.
I'm going to stab it with my lance and use a maneuver again called Sir Andros's Daring Flyby.
Yep.
So I got.
So that means you're going to leave its threatened area?
So I got. Yeah. But this, if I hit, means I don't provoke attacks of opportunity.
Okay.
So I got an 18 plus
You hit.
9. And then my damage is 5 plus 6, 11.
Yep. You hurt it quite badly.
And then my next attack.
And as you fly past it, you hurt it so badly that it's this rain of jade.
I'll do 2 attacks before I fly away.
No, actually, you disintegrated it.
Oh.
Technically, because of your movement, you can move away from it and then come back again. As part of your movement, you don't have to do all your attacks before your movement. You can move, attack, move, attack, move, attack. You can attack 3 times. And you can move before and after every attack you do, as long as you don't exceed your round of movement.
Okay, as long as your total movement...
That actually did an extra 6 points of damage. Is it dead, sorry?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, it's shattered into multiple pieces, so...
It's shattered into tiny little bits of jade.
Alright.
Good news.
I'll use Second Wind.
To heal up a bit?
Yeah, pretty roughed up. And then I'll fly, unless something's blocking me, I'll fly back and up and out.
There's nowhere to fly. You're sort of dodging things falling as you're coming. If your griffin stuck its wings out, you would most likely get impaled by
okay,
falling.
so I've landed on the ground.
Yeah.
Alright.
So you sort of bull rush your way out of the place, followed by Flamin, who's watching who rushes to the guy and brings him out. Because he is that sort of hero. As you hear the sound of scaffolding falling for the next half hour or so. Every now and again, there's another topple of stuff.
Are there people still stuck in there?
Some yes, but most of them have fled or managed to grab onto ropes and are dangling above the falling scaffolding. So Chatterjee says, I was visited in sleep by the undying Murtajai, Lord of Thieves. He said that his fellow spirits have vanished, but that you 6 are able to restore them. Murtajai revealed to me the solution to your quest, the yantra of the Emerald River.
Yantra of the Emerald River, he said.
Yes. He says the yantra is a diagram that the Sandus use to meditate. Yantras have different functions and magical powers. He has used many in his past, but he doesn't know how this one would be useful to you, as he's never heard of an Emerald River. But he says he'd now the components that are needed to construct the yantra. On a drawing surface bathed in the sweat of a beggar king, you must be drawing the diagram with the paste of fangs of the white cobra. All the while you must chant the mantra. I'm being most sorry to say that I'm not knowing the diagram or the mantra. But among the seekers of truth, great Amaravati is said to be knowing all symbols and mantras. You must be seeking him out.
So we've got to draw a picture with on a tablet that's been bathed in sweat using the paste of a snake's venom.
Yes. Of a white cobra's venom. The fangs of a white cobra.
Oh, the fangs, like the part of the venom, okay?
Yeah.
Well, that's all well and good, but potentially we should leave this area for a bit and actually work out where we can go to from here.
He is happy to do that. And I was thinking that I might end up finishing early for tonight.
Yeah.
And finishing it up there. Unfortunately, I got a bit of a migraine going at the moment, so
That's right, and the background noise is probably helping not at all. So.
it happens.
You could have said something. I could have said Michael.
Oh, it was coming and going, so it was hard to tell when it was going to be there.
We're finishing early. You haven't caught a movie yet.
The
Alright, see you at home. Love you.
Yeah, so in that case then, Dimitri will be keen to try and return back to the apothecary's house as that place to actually
That guy seems cool.
So I might have you guys end up there.
and about this strategy and say, why the hell? Okay, so he's been dreaming about us, we've been dreaming
yes.
about him. So
Yeah.
they're all getting all these bloody dreams, aside from mysterious.
And as far as you can work out, his god is a version of your god.
Yeah.
So Clovius is very keen to see an apothecary. He's pretty beaten up.
I don't think they count as magical healing.
He can make sure you get no infections, you don't lose any limbs, and you don't get tetanus from anything that stabbed you.
Oh, that's good. So what do you need me for?
He has advanced medicine compared to the rest of the world.
Do you have healing?
But he doesn't have any magical form of healing.
I have a healing word, which is just a level 1
So
spell.
I'm going to put this on the end credits at
you
the
can
moment.
cast it and go to sleep
D4
and wake
plus
up
5.
again.
Thank you for playing, and
that's the
I will
restoration,
hopefully
which
see you
is
next week, next
Or
session.
whatever.
All good.
Nice.
Have a good night all, have a good week, have a good fortnight.
We will.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Good night.